Hey team, hope you're all doing well. Today's topic I wanted to go over how to increase my stamina in 1600 meters. This is a question that a lot of mostly high school athletes ask, but there's also a lot of collegiate athletes out there that are training for the 1500 meters. And really the key to running either 4 laps or 1500 meters if you're in college is really getting to a point where you can sustain that goal race pace that you're aiming for in the middle sections of the race, so that when your competition is the weakest, both mentally and physically, you can pick up the pace. And without a doubt, from running the 1600 meter in high school, started off running the 1600 in 5:30 as a freshman in high school, got it down to 4:25 by the time I graduated. And also the 1500 meter I ran in college. My personal best is 4 minutes flat. Always tried to break that barrier, but again, to run fast over these very short anaerobic events, you have to make sure you're improving your body's lactate tolerance, and you're not going to do that by running easy, relaxed running all of the time. It's still very important, still very critical for your success as an athlete. But in terms of increasing stamina in the 1600 meters or 1500 meters or mile, which is 1609 meters, you definitely have to work on your leg development. So doing workouts like repeat 200s. One of my favorites was 12 to 16 200 meters, running at around 10 to 15 seconds faster than my goal race pace with minimal rest, usually around 30 seconds to 60 seconds rest in between each one of those 200s. Repeat 400s on the track, running below goal mile pace, goal 1500 meter pace. The weakest part of that event, the 1600 meters, and I've seen it, a lot of athletes have asked me too on the YouTube channel here, is how can I run that third lap? Why do I get so weak in that third lap? Just remember, you're not alone. Every athlete, whether they're highly trained or not trained, has a difficult time in that third lap. If you're going to run a faster 1600 meter or faster 1500 meter, you have to really drill down on that third lap. Once you get past 800 meters, you have to say to yourself, if it's something that you say consciously to yourself, you have to make sure that you are motivating yourself both mentally as well as staying in control in the race in that third lap. Because most athletes, most of your competition is going to wait until 400 meters out before they start making a move. My advice is to make your move 600 meters out from the finish line. And yes, you're going to have to be decisive if you choose to do this. And if you make a move 600 meters out from the race, you're definitely going to have to be very confident both physically as well as mentally. And it's more of a mental race than a physical race when it comes to an all-out mile or an all-out 1600 meter. Like I said, most of your competition is going to wait until 400 meters out. If you can't make a move 600 meters out, I would advise making a move, an all-out attack 300 meters out from the race, from the end of the race. Because again, you have to crack your competition both mentally as well as physically when it comes to running a faster 1600 meter if you're in high school, 1500 meter in college. And again, the third lap is the most difficult part of the race. It's where, like I said, most athletes get the weakest, and they're waiting until they get to the 400 meters left to go before they start making a move. So to increase your stamina, you have to also work on doing hill repetitions. I would always find doing repeat 200s or repeat 300s, running over hillier terrain, doing faster varied pace long runs every other weekend, not every single weekend. Those types of workouts are going to help improve your stamina. Whereas if you're just running easy, relaxed running, which is still very important, you still need to build your endurance. You still need to burn fat, get very efficient at doing that. But running too often, too aerobically, is not going to help you run a faster 1600 meter time. The reason why I was able to go from a 5:30 1600 meter time in high school down to a 4:22 mile, which is 1609 meters, was consistency. Okay, I was always focused on my leg development and working on running at faster paces, running at speeds that were closer down toward 4-minute mile pace rather than 5-minute mile pace. So if you're really working to improve and build upon that stamina, you have to train at paces that are significantly faster than you're aiming to run for 1600 meters. So if your current best right now is 5 minutes for 1600 meters, you need to be doing some repeat 400s on the track at 67 to 68 seconds rather than running at 75 seconds. Okay, there needs to be some time where you're running it, doing 200s or 300s on the track at around 60 to 62 seconds per rep. Again, you're training at paces that are much, much faster than your current personal best. And this is an example of just an athlete that's currently running at 75-second pace for 4 laps. The faster you're training at, the better you're going to improve your speed, the more efficient your body's going to be at clearing lactic acid faster than it's building up, and you eventually are going to set a new personal best over 1600 meters. But improving stamina over 1600 meters, it's not an easy task, because if you're running too slow, if you're just building mileage, if you're which is still important, if you're staying consistent with your training, if you're looking at your weekly volume and you're running around 90%, 90 to 95% of your weekly volume, just mileage, you're going to have a difficult time improving stamina when it comes to running an all-out 1600 meters. So you definitely have to spend more of your training. The world's top middle to long distance runners are running around 30 to 40%, around that range, at paces that are at anaerobic threshold effort or below. So anywhere from 85 to 89% of their max heart rate or faster. So there is a reason why these athletes make it look so easy. And a lot of runners here in the States and around the world, they just think that these athletes are just talented. Of course, they are talented. They do have genetic capability, but they spend so much of their time training at paces that are so fast that they become very efficient at clearing lactic acid. Okay, so if you're look at your past training, and if you've had problems in the 1600 meter in the past, also look at not only your preparation and how much volume you're putting in and the percentage of that volume you're running at or below your anaerobic threshold, but also look at your pacing. Okay, so if you go out and you get too hyped up in this race, you are going to significantly slow down in the last 2 laps. So you have to get out aggressive. You can run pretty much all out for the first 200 meters and not build up any lactic acid. So it's important to get out fast, but then settle into your pace, run your race. But it's also very important to ensure that you're pacing yourself properly in the race. If you're a 5-minute miler right now, going out the first lap in 64 seconds is not a good idea. You need to be going out that first lap in around 77 to 79 seconds for the first lap. Okay, the problem is a lot of athletes, and I made the mistake in high school far too often, I was always trying to break a 4-minute 1600 meter, and I just did not have that capability. I would go out 60 seconds the first 400, then slow to like a 206 or 207 through the 800 meter, and then end up running a 425 to 428, 430 range. And the fastest I ever, like I mentioned, was 425. So looking back, the things I would do now as an experienced athlete who's learned several mistakes is I would go out the first lap at around 65 to 66 to 67 seconds the first lap instead of a 60, and then run around a 415, 414 to 416 instead. Okay, so I hope this video, if you're asking the question, how do I increase my stamina for 1600 meter training, these are some of the things you have to think about. Proper pacing, making sure that you are staying relaxed as you can prior to the start of the race and while you're in the race. Remember, less muscular tension, better the performance. So keep these things in mind. Look at the best middle to long distance runners, look at the best sprinters. What do they do prior to the start of their races? A lot of them look very relaxed because they've done the heavy work in training first. So let your competition be stressed out and tense prior to the start of the race, not you. Okay, so I hope this is helpful for you. Feel free to leave me a comment below if you have any questions about the mile, the 1600 meter, or the 1500 meter. Again, I have a lot of experience with all of these events and have dealt with it. I understand trying to work on improving raw leg speed when you're more of a middle to long distance runner like I was. I was always trying to get faster at the shorter distances, but I only had so much leg speed. What my strength was the longer races. So feel free to leave me a comment below, share these videos, like, like them. I definitely appreciate that. It helps the channel grow, more athletes around the world to see these videos. And definitely hit that subscribe button and the bell icon if you're new to the channel and you want to be notified when I make new videos. You'll be notified of that as soon as you click those two buttons. So I wish you all the best, and I'll talk to you all in the next video.